r/antiwork. Illegitimate username says, is this even legal? Not sure if this is the right sub for this, but man do I hate this place. Included photo. Chuai Urchin says, nope, and I strongly advise reporting this. Thinlish says, yeah. Bold, italic, underlined and highlighted, doesn't make it any more enforceable. I am Natazm-B44 says, I mean, they can certainly enforce it, and OP should absolutely allow them to while meticulously documenting every second of it before contacting DOL. WineOP says, not a lawyer, but I don't believe this is legal. Go to your state's DOL, this is wage theft. IPUS_21 says, and they were even nice enough to put the policy in writing. Bold, underlined, italicized, and highlighted. Iceberg Slimfast says, and now, photographed for posterity and evidence. Illegitimate username says, in Michigan if it makes a difference. Honest_palpitation91 says, it's not legal. Report to the state of Michigan and federal government. Tyrus on Fire says, also, you know what is legal? Letting customers know about these type of practices. Tell everyone, frick, the man. DevilDoc82 says, that's illegal in all 50 states. Report it to your state's Board of Labor. You can do so anonymously. Zoinks690 says, regardless of legality, you're disincentivizing workers. Or are we abandoning the idea that tips are there to encourage good service? Magenta_logistics says, the idea that tips are there to encourage good service. Oh you sweet summer child. Resurgent Cluster Frick says, no, it definitely isn't. The FLSA states very clearly that tips aren't something employers can just withhold. r/antiwork. Hank5665 says, I'm searching for jobs online and just came across caretakers in nursing homes and other places. It's insulting how little they are paid. The estimated salary ranges from $21k to $32k. I have a lot respect for people who can do things like that for a living. That kind of work has always been so uncomfortable for me. I've always thought I could never do that, even for a lot of money. And now seeing these local job openings, it's just so insulting and unbelievable how little they are paid. Beachhead Bottlenose says, it's insulting how little many people are paid. You're right about caregivers. And they're usually the kindest people out there. Murtaman says, it's insulting how little many people are paid. Ain't that the truth? It's also very insulting how much landlords and CS are paid by comparison. Cooldad61 says, many years ago my great-grandma's room in a nursing home cost $5,000 a month, and she had to have a room at I think her hall/wing had about 14 rooms, so about 28 people in just that side of the facility. How is it that these caretakers are paid so little? Saint Offit says, administrative bullshit markups to justify their lack of salary. Public Rule 3659 says, the average home health care salary in Massachusetts is $362,948 as of September 25, 2023, but the range typically falls between $278,412 and $517,595. Chino Shandman says, and yet when someone goes into an assisted living center, they have to sign over most of their assets to cover costs. Those places take advantage on both sides, the workers and the residents. I know I'm generalizing, and there may be some great ones, but they are mostly owned by corporations that have shareholders, and that in itself is a conflict in my humble opinion. Resident 1 Fan 2022 says, It's insulting how little the majority of workers are paid. Except for senior and executive positions, and some specific fields like tech and it and the like. Most workers in this country are paid like shit. It's no surprise the middle class is rapidly shrinking. Highway Satira says. And the agencies charge a fortune for those services. Repulsive _A6728 says. Anything caretaking or women's work is seriously underpaid. r/antiwork. Crafty _merchant says. Got told I'm being difficult at work. My new manager was moved to my team after being caught masturbating and sending inappropriate messages to women on his old team. Title says it all really. I have recently found myself in a miserable situation at work. Not just me, my whole team, as earlier this year everyone in the department got a hefty pay rise, between 20-30%, while my team didn't even get a raise in line with inflation, so we are technically worse off. I did the math, and it's around 4%. Meanwhile, we have just been told we have a new manager to cover for my manager who is on maternity. This guy has a reputation due to the fact that he was caught masturbating around the corner from the women's toilets a few months ago. Not only that, he had several grievances put in against him from female staff on his team saying they have been receiving inappropriate messages from him out of work hours. I have seen these messages and they are disgusting, so it's not just some nasty rumor. All of these messages have been sent to ours. Anyway, earlier this week I was pulled into a call with the operations manager, who said that I'm being unreasonable asking for more money and that I was making things difficult by repeatedly asking for something that they can't give us. I put repeatedly in quotes because I have sent exactly one email when the pay rises were first announced back in June, and then last week when we were asked in a team meeting how we are feeling. I, along with others, said we lack motivation because we feel like our team got left out of the pay rises. I was basically told to keep my mouth shut and not be greedy. So there you have it. I guess I have learned my lesson. The company that supposedly prides itself on encouraging staff to speak up if they are unhappy don't like it if you actually speak up. I now have to answer to this cretin managing our team and have him judge my work in monthly meetings. I guess I should change tactics and start harassing my female colleagues. I'll move up the ranks in no time. /s. Wetbones says. Tell them they could probably help pay for the raises of your team by firing that disgusting jerk off of a manager. Zakana says. Yup. Because they will lose infinitely more in the lawsuit they'll get when he does it again. Thiduda Bidasog says. Keep everything documented for that wrongful termination lawsuit. Sad Pound 803 says. 2 words, hostile environment. Make a complaint to ours and hope to God they fire you while having complaint, and every interaction documented. Jerth Brooks 117 says. Report the business for ignoring your concerns about a coworker that is repeatedly sexually harassing employees. Lima Green Pinky says. I should start harassing my female colleagues. I suggest you start small, like masturbating in the office bathroom. Winter Alternative 114 says. It'd be a shame if this got out to public by a unknown source. Street_ad_863 says. No company wants you to speak up. It's all a facade to try to convince employees that management is listening. My last company had 7 workplace sayings that purportedly guided the corporation. One of them was speak up. I referred to it as squeak up. Turns out they bought the right to use the 7 guiding principles from some company that specialized in such drivel. If you're lucky, like I was, you have a decent boss that allows you speak your mind, otherwise save your concerns for outside of work. Jerrigan 7 says. Send the manager's info to a local reporter with proof of his disgusting actions and mention how the company is protecting him. Thengelonite 69 says. Ironic, your manager also must have been hard to work with. Dorkpull says, your company does not value you or your team. No pay increase and they gave you a manager that should have already been fired. Honestly, it feels like they want you all to quit or will lay you off soon. You need to find a new job ASAP. r/antiwork. Zano74 says, I wish employers has the same sense of urgency they expect from workers. I just started my first day at a new job yesterday. It's working in a lab. My recruiter told me to arrive at 9, bring my I-9 documents and they would get me set up for everything else. I arrive early to make a good impression. Didn't know what to wear, so I dressed business casual, only to find out there's NK real dress code and everyone's in jeans and t-shirts. This guy from ours gives me my training folder and has me sign some stuff. Gives me a tour of the lab and most of the tour is this is X lab. I don't really know what they do here because I'm ours. After that they sit me down at a computer for a ton of training modules. Couldn't log in for the longest time because they spelled my name wrong. Brought it up to my supervisor, who said he would get it changed. Got it corrected for logging in, but it's still incorrect on my profile. I was supposed to have access to a shared drive with things like training resources and employee handbook, and I was never granted access. I had to print out some documents to sign, and an hour lady was in the area, and when she tried to help she noticed I also don't have access to the printer. Technically my shift is supposed to be until 5 PM. At like 4:30 the original hour guy comes in and asks me if I have my badge, to which I say no. I also don't have access to email or Teams to contact anyone, and have no idea about things like sick time, how to clock in and out, anything. Our guy tells me to go see the site manager about my badge. Go to her, and she said she forgot to print it out, but will give it and parking permit today. I still don't know if I'm supposed to be released at 5, so I go to ask my supervisor, only to find out he has already left. He was sitting behind me all day and didn't even say or ask if there was anything I needed before just leaving. It was 4:50 PM and I was the only one really in the office, and so I walked around and everyone already left. So I packed up and just left, and was one of the last people to leave the building. Did not leave a great impression on me for the HR first day, and if an employee didn't have stuff ready to go, or was organized poorly, or left early, we would be absolutely shit on by management. Match Zero Ramaja says, every medium and large scale company is like this. The people responsible for onboarding tasks don't report to anybody who really cares about onboarding except for maybe the HR person. The predictable outcome is that those tasks are the lowest priority. If it makes you feel better, I work remotely, and my first day and a half of being on the job was waiting for FedEx to deliver my equipment. It should have only been a day, but there was some kind of weather event. I don't remember the details. Panic says, I used to work in a fast-growing company with 100 plus new hires per month. It was a complete shit show. When I arrived I redid the entire onboarding thing and people got their computers and all access on the first of the month like, frick, I'm clockwork. It's not an easy task, but people do notice when it's done correctly. Light Pollution says, I started a new job in June and I received zero training on anything, and wasn't told basic things like when I can take lunch, PTO policies, etc. I have stuff to do and it's straightforward, but I think it would have been super beneficial to have the basics explained to me to help me feel more welcome. But I learned quickly that it simply doesn't go that way at my company. So, I simply just vibe, do my job, and turn off my computer at the end of the day, and don't worry about it. I think a lot of companies are just poorly managed and unorganized. What I'm saying is your situation is more common than you think. Just ask questions when you need to, and do your job, and don't worry about it. Boppa says, At my first job, I showed up to work all dressed up, and this was back in the day where you really dressed up, and it happened to be the day of the company picnic. Nachachis50 says, my first day I showed up, and my immediate supervisor was on vacation, as was the person who was supposed to train me. They just had me read operations manuals for the entire week. I legit thought I'd die of boredom that first week. Commissar_char says, usually it's hours telling no one in it that new people start, so onboarding is never done on time. I have dealt with this and currently trying to automate hours out of the equation, lol. Anothrakirianas Mind says, yep, you could have started in my lab with a story like this. I get that it's awkward, but I would call it normal and not bad. If your lab is like mine, the process hasn't needed to be streamlined, because new hires are only in about twice a year occurrence, and the lax attitude can work in your favor, as long as the clock is honest and the work gets done. My boss never steps into micromanage. Keep track of what you need, follow up with people, and focus on making a good first impression. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.